Skull and Bones, a game which seems to pop up every now and then, get some hate, and then go back into hibernation. But I mean, this game's been on my radar for long enough that I've decided to look into how it hasn't actually come out or just died already. As I mean, it's not like Ubisoft's afraid of cancelling games. So yeah, let's go through the absolute development hell of Skull and Bones. This game was first conceived back in 2013ish, and what a time to be alive. Now, while I was busy playing Toy Story 3, the video game, other less fortunate people were busy playing a little known game called Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Now, Ubisoft, being the misers that they are, saw the game's success and wanted a little more, so they devised a plan to milk it dry, and this would be in the form of a new multiplayer expansion, which I have no doubt would have been riddled with microtransactions. But first, they needed to make it. So back in 2013, what would become Skull and Bones began production.
Building on the legacy of one of our most popular worlds, the super talented teams of Ubisoft Singapore came up with something really unique. So I want you to see that and enjoy. Thank you.
Now, we first got a look at Skull and Bones in 2017 when it was released at E3 that year, or revealed. And I mean, it received quite a positive reception because, I mean, despite being the first reveal of the game, it came with a gameplay video which looked pretty close to completion. It showed the game was focused around the ship-based combat of Black Flag, with it mainly being around PvP and objective control. And this gathered quite a lot of positive reception, as I mean, it seemed quite similar to Ubisoft's other game, Rainbow Six Siege, which had released a few years prior, with it being reported that there was very little single-player story elements and would just be a fun 5v5 PvP game. The reveal also came with the promise of an open beta and a link to let you sign up to it. However, as we'll later see, that never came to be. And then it takes us to 2018, which is when I would say the game's cracks began to show, as early on in the year there was the first delay when it was pushed a year later to 2019. But I mean, this wasn't all bad news. There was a new gameplay trailer which showed more refined combat, but I did see some red flags in this trailer because the graphics seemed, I mean, it wasn't very noticeable, but I just couldn't help feeling that they were worse. Now, this may just be due to a different shader, but the waves and the impacts of the cannonballs, they felt a bit less impactful. But there was some more noticeable differences, which included a walkable hub zone, which you could buy and trade upgrades for your boats, it seemed. Now, this isn't necessarily bad, but knowing Ubisoft, the ability to buy upgrades leads into pay to win and microtransactions, and the video also showed that there were quite a lot of gameplay elements which just weren't included. For example, something that was complained about in the first trailer was the fact that it looked like boarding ships wasn't actually a thing. And well, this was proven in this trailer, where you just press a button, a short little cutscene happens, and bam, you boarded the ship and taken it over. No actual gameplay there. And also, things like disguising your ship with a wreck ship, a cool idea, but it was just, you press one button, the thing happens, and there's just a black screen, you come back in your ship's disguise. No player involvement whatsoever. But I mean, that's just food for thought, because the main gameplay loop of shooting ships looked pretty solid still. Now, going into 2019, it was a bit of a weird year for the game, as early in the year they announced that they were making a TV show for a game that wasn't actually released yet. A bit odd. And while there are good pirate shows and films, I mean, you got stuff like Black Sails, the Pirates of the Caribbean films. This is Ubisoft, so but anyway, we can kind of forget about that, as I haven't really, while looking up for this video, I haven't found anything else about the TV show after its announcement, and even the article they linked to on their announcement tweet doesn't work anymore. So yeah, but anyway, just a few months later in September, the game was delayed again, and well, the next release date would be 2022, so a 3-year delay. Not the best, and not exactly the right time to try and make a TV show on it. Weird fucking decision. Now, the game's online presence went pretty quiet for 2020 and 2021, but that doesn't mean that shit was all calm in the studio, because it was reported that in 2020 the game's development plan kind of had a full revamp and reboot, with new leadership stepping in, and it seemed like they wanted to steer the game to become a live service game. And now I can only speculate that this was because Ubisoft wanted to join the bandwagon of live service games created by Fortnite, and inflated by the massive player numbers that happened because of COVID. But yeah, this also seemed to be the end of, I'd say, community support for Skull and Bones, because pretty much any sort of trailer or gameplay video they've released after this has had horrendous response, whereas I mean, even the ones in 2019 were like 80% upvotes, so yeah.
Welcome to Skull and Bones. Our game takes place during the golden age of piracy, in a world inspired by the beautiful yet dangerous Indian Ocean.
And this was shown in 2022 when the game resurfaced onto the internet, and it had changed noticeably, as the latest gameplay showcase, for one, showed significantly downgraded graphics, which is always a shitty thing, and Ubisoft has done it lots in the past. But what I think is more important is what the gameplay video focuses on in just the actual gameplay, because rather than showing off some better combat and the ship-to-ship action, it features some weird fetch quests, just horrendous looking hunting, and some of the most mobile game resource gathering shit I've seen in a long time. And I mean, it seems people agreed, because these videos have been massively down or disliked, and comments criticising the change from a fun pirate PvP to some shitty mobile game. And so yeah, that leaves us at 2023. I mean, I didn't mention that the game was delayed as well in 2022, but yeah, that doesn't really matter, as it was being delayed again 2023 with, well, no planned release date so far. It's been pulled off all pre-order stores, well, almost all. You can still get some fancy Xbox edition on Amazon, so get it while you can, because yeah, this game seems to be dying.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch. We had Fring. We had a lab. We had everything we needed. It all ran like clockwork. You could have shut your mouth, cooked, and made as much money as you ever needed. It was perfect. But no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego.
And well, that leaves us with the big question of why. And more importantly, why did Ubisoft not cancel this game? And well, I'd give two reasons for that. The first being a lack of responsibility. I mean, a Kotaku article showed that by the end of 2021, the game had already spent over $100 million, which, I mean, that's half of what fucking Elden Ring spent on their budget. And that was Game of the Year and had a massive marketing push. So if this game was cancelled, some scumbag at the top of Ubisoft management would have to admit that they just spent $100 million on a failed project, and someone at the top would get fired. So instead, you got like a sunk cost fallacy. They'll just keep pushing money into it. And the second reason, which was also highlighted in that Kotaku article, being that Ubisoft has a deal with the Singaporean government, in which by producing the game in their Singapore office and hiring a bunch of locals, Ubisoft would get a big subsidy, which is probably just a bag of cash or some sort of tax cut. But yeah, because of that deal, I'm assuming Ubisoft can't cancel the game and are going to have to just release it eventually, no matter how fucked it is when they do. So yeah, that was my video on Skull and Bones. If you liked it, consider giving me a sub. I mean, tell you what, if I get to 10 after this video, I'll sell me feet pics. Hey, entice? No? Well, shit. There goes my plan. Fucking do it anyway, though. Hey.